The Awakening Protocol salvage operation was supposed to be routine. Jace Merrick had done dozens of these sweeps through abandoned research facilities, cataloging tech, and checking for survivors. The crimson dust of Kepler 7b swirled outside. His helmet's visor, as he descended into the sublevels of the derelict complex, his scanner chirped softly life signs, faint but steady. Jace quickened his pace through the darkened corridors, emergency lighting casting eerie shadows on the walls. The facility had been abandoned for months after the corporate wars ended, leaving behind only whispers of the experimental programs that once thrived here. The signal led him to a sealed laboratory, its doors bearing warnings in 3 languages. Inside, rows of biostasis pods lined the walls, most dark and empty. But one pulsed with a soft blue glow, its occupant visible through the translucent canopy. She was beautiful in an otherworldly way, pale skin with an almost luminescent quality, delicate features that seemed perfectly carved, and hair that shifted between silver and white like starlight. Her species was unknown to him, but the readings indicated she was alive and stable. JAC, he approached the pod's control interface, his fingers dancing across the alien symbols. The system was partially damaged, its neural interface protocols corrupted. Standard extraction would be impossible without risking her life. "Come on," he muttered, pulling tools from his kit. "Let's get you out of there." As he worked to bypass the damaged systems, something unexpected happened. The pod's neural interface, designed to monitor the occupant's brain activity, suddenly activated. Tendrils of energy reached out from the damaged circuitry, seeking a connection. Jace felt the first touch like electricity racing through his nervous system. His vision blurred, filled with fragments of memories that weren't his own, flashes of terror, pain, and desperate hope. He tried to pull away, but the connection was already forming. The pod opened with a soft hiss, and she stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing irises that seemed to hold entire galaxies within their depths. When she looked at him, Jace felt something shift inside his mind, a presence that was distinctly not his own. "Can you hear me?" he asked softly, removing his helmet to show his face. She sat up slowly, her movements graceful despite obvious weakness. When she spoke, her voice was like music, but the words came not through her lips, but directly into his consciousness. "I can feel you," her thoughts whispered in his mind. "You safe. Warm. JACE his heart hammered against his ribs. The neural interface had bonded them. He could sense her emotions, her confusion, her cautious hope. And beneath it all, something else. A growing awareness of him as more than just a rescuer. "What's your name?" he asked, extending his hand to help her from the pod. "NAIA, she replied, her fingers intertwining with his. A moment their skin touched. The connection deepened. He could feel her strength returning, her trust in him growing with each passing second. "I'm Jace," he said, surprised by how natural it felt to speak both aloud and through their link. "We need to get out of here. Can you walk?" She nodded, stepping from the pod on unsteady legs. Jace caught her as she swayed, and the contact sent warmth flooding through both their minds. Her species' biology was different from human. He could sense that much, but the emotions were universal. As they made their way through the facility, Jace found himself acutely aware of Naya's presence beside him. The neural link meant he could feel her wonder at the world outside the pod, her gratitude toward him, and something else, a growing attraction that mirrored his own. "The exit's just ahead," he told her, though he knew she could sense his thoughts. "Will you stay with me?" Her mental voice carried a vulnerability that made his chest tighten. JAC paused at the threshold, looking back at her face illuminated by the facility's emergency lighting. The connection between them was more than just technological now. It was becoming something deeper, more meaningful, than either of them had expected. "Yes," he said, both aloud and through their bond. "I'll stay with you." As they stepped into the crimson twilight of Kepler 7b, Chase realized that what had begun as a simple rescue had become something far more complex. The neural interface had bound them together, but it was their hearts that were making the choice. To remain connected, echoes of trust, abandoned mining outpost, provided temporary shelter from the approaching storm. Jace watched Naya as she examined the crude accommodations, her wonder at simple things, like running water and artificial lighting, filtering through their shared connection. "You've never seen a place like this before," he observed, settling beside her on the makeshift bed he'd constructed from salvaged materials. "My world was different," she replied through their link, her mental voice carrying images of crystalline spires and floating gardens. Before the experiments began. JAC, he felt the shadow of pain that accompanied her memories. Whatever had happened to her, whatever had led to her being imprisoned in that pod, it had left deep scars. But through their bond, he also sensed her resilience, her determination to heal. "Tell me about it," he said softly, reaching out to touch her hand. The moment their fingers connected, the link between them strengthened. Naya's memories flowed into his consciousness, not the traumatic ones, but the beautiful moments from her past. He saw her homeworld through her eyes, felt the joy she'd known before everything changed. "Your world is different too," she observed, her thoughts tinged with curiosity. "You've been alone for so long." JAC, he single quotes S defenses wavered. Through their connection, she could sense his loneliness, his years of self-imposed isolation. "It's easier that way," he said, but even as he spoke, he knew the words were no longer true. Naya shifted closer, her body warm against his. The neural interface had created their bond, but physical proximity amplified it. When she looked at him, Jace felt exposed in a way that was both terrifying and exhilarating. "You don't have to be alone anymore," she whispered in his mind. The storm outside intensified, wind howling through the gaps in the outpost's walls. Jace activated the heating unit, but Naya was already moving closer, seeking warmth and comfort from more than just the machinery. "Naya," he said, his voice rough with emotion he couldn't hide from their link. She placed her hand against his chest, directly over his heart. Through their connection, he felt her wonder at the steady rhythm, her fascination with the differences between their species, and underneath it all, a growing affection that took his breath away. "I can feel your heart beating," she mused, her mental voice soft with wonder. "It's like music." JAC covered her hand with his, marveling at how right it felt. The neural interface had bonded their minds, but this was something deeper, something that transcended technology or species. Barriers. "Naya," he said again, this time her name carrying all the emotions he couldn't put into words. She leaned into him, her head resting against his shoulder. Through their link, he could feel her contentment, her sense of safety in his arms. But there was something else to a desire that matched his own, growing stronger with each passing moment. The storm raged on, but inside the outpost, time seemed suspended. Jace found himself studying the play of light across Naya's features, the way her silver hair caught the glow from the heating unit. Every detail was magnified through their connection, every sensation shared between them. "Is this what humans call love?" she asked, her thoughts carrying a mixture of wonder and uncertainty. Chase's heart skipped a beat. Through their bond, he felt her genuine curiosity, her attempt to understand the complex emotions flowing between them. "It's one kind of love," he admitted, "the kind that grows between two people who trust each other completely." "I trust you," she replied without hesitation. "You freed me. You stayed with me. You're the first person to show me kindness since ... The thought trailed off, but Jace felt the echo of old pain in her mind. Gently, he pulled her closer, offering what comfort he could through their connection. "You're safe now," he promised, both aloud and through their link. "I won't let anyone hurt you again." Naya looked up at him, her galaxy-filled eyes reflecting the soft light. When she spoke, her voice was audible for the first time since their bonding, soft and melodious like distant chimes. "Jace," she whispered, his name carrying all the trust and growing love in her heart. He leaned down, their faces inches apart. The neural interface hummed with the intensity of their shared emotions, but the kiss that followed was entirely their own choice, tender, tentative, and filled with the promise of something beautiful beginning between them. Fractured Signal's bounty hunter ship descended through Kepler 7b's atmosphere like a predator seeking prey. KETH Zorvin had tracked them across 3 systems, following the unique neural signature that Naya's modified biology created. Collectors in the outer rim, she was worth more than most planets. JAC felt the disturbance in their link before his scanners detected the approaching vessel. Naya's terror flooded through their connection, memories of capture and imprisonment threatening to overwhelm her. "We need to move," he said, gathering their supplies with practiced efficiency. "He's found us." Naya's mental voice carried despair. "KETH Zorvin doesn't give up. He's the one who delivered me to the research facility. JACE hands stilled on his equipment. Through their bond, he felt the depth of her fear, the traumatic memories associated with the bounty hunter's name. But he also sensed something else, her absolute trust in him, her belief that he would protect her. "Then we make sure he doesn't get the chance to take you again," Jace said, his voice carrying a determination that surprised them both. They fled through the mining complex's tunnels, the neural link allowing them to move in perfect synchronization. Jace could feel Naya's exhaustion, her body still recovering from the stasis pod, but she pushed forward without complaint. The sound of cutting tools echoed through the tunnels behind them. Zorvin was making his way through the facility's sealed sections, methodical and unstoppable. "There," Jace pointed to a maintenance shaft. "We can reach the surface through there." But as they climbed, Naya stumbled, her strength finally giving. "Out." Jace caught her, and through their connection, he felt her shame at slowing them down. "Leave me," she whispered in his mind. "You can still escape." "Never," Jace replied, both aloud and through their bond. The intensity of his response surprised them both. "We're connected now. Where you go, I go." Naya's eyes filled with tears that sparkled like liquid starlight. Through their link, he felt her overwhelming gratitude, her growing love for the man who refused to abandon her. They reached the surface as Zarvin's ship touched down nearby. The bounty hunter emerged, a towering figure in powered armor, his face hidden behind a reflective visor. He moved with the confidence of someone who'd never failed to claim his prey. "Naya of the 13th House," Zorvin's voice boomed across. "The wasteland. Your genetic markers are required for research purposes. Surrender now, and your human companion will be spared." Jace felt Naya's terror spike, but also her resignation. She was prepared to sacrifice herself to save him. The realization sent a surge of protective fury through their connection. "She's not going anywhere," Jace called out, positioning himself between Naya and the bounty hunter. Zorvin's helmet tilted, studying them. "Interesting. The neural interface has bonded you. How ... romantic. It will make no difference." The bounty hunter raised his weapon, but something unexpected happened. Naya stepped forward, her fear transforming into something else, determination, powered by her love for JACE. "I won't let him hurt you," she said through their link. Power flowed through the neural interface, but not from the technology itself. Naya's species had latent abilities that the research facility had been trying to unlock. Now, triggered by her desperate need to protect Jace, Those abilities manifested. The air around them shimmered, and Zorvan's weapon discharge was deflected by an invisible barrier. The bounty hunter stumbled back, his armor system sparking. Impossible, he growled. Those abilities were suppressed. Not suppressed, Naya replied, her mental voice carrying new strength. Just sleeping. Waiting for the right moment. JAC, he felt the power flowing through their connection. Naya's abilities somehow amplified by their bond. Together, they were something new, a fusion of human determination and alien capability. Leave, Jace said, his voice carrying an authority he'd never possessed before. And don't come back. Zorvan's visor fixed on them for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he holstered his weapon. This isn't over. Others will come. As the bounty hunter's ship lifted off, Jace turned to Naya. Through their connection, he felt her exhaustion from using her abilities, but also her wonder at what they'd accomplished together. You saved us, he said, pulling her close. We saved each other, she corrected, her head resting against his chest. That's what people who love each other do. JAC. Single quotes S heart swelled with emotion. Through their neural link, he felt her love for him. Pure and unconditional. And in that moment, he knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. Synchronized Sol's abandoned research station drifted in the shadow of a dead moon, its laboratories and living quarters preserved in the vacuum of space. Dr. Wren Halifax had been stranded there for months, her rescue beacon long since silent. But her mind remained sharp with scientific curiosity. Fascinating, she murmured, studying the readings from Naya's neural interface. I've never seen anything like this bonding pattern. Jace felt Naya's nervousness through their connection as Dr. Halifax ran her scans. The older woman's weathered face showed genuine interest rather than the clinical detachment they'd feared. The interface was designed to monitor brain activity, Jace explained. But when I tried to remove it, it adapted, Dr. Halifax finished. Your human neural patterns somehow synchronized with her psychic abilities. You've created something entirely new. Through their link, Jace felt Naya's wonder at the doctor's words. The idea that their bond might be unique, special, filled her with joy that flowed into his consciousness like warm honey. We're the first, she mused through their connection. The first of our kinds to connect this way. Dr. Halifax led them to her private quarters, where she'd been conducting her own research into consciousness and neural interfaces. The space was cramped but comfortable, filled with books and personal mementos from her life before the stranding. May I? She asked, gesturing to the simple scanner in her hand. Naya nodded, settling beside Jace on the small couch. The moment their bodies touched, the neural interface hummed with increased activity. Dr. Halifax's eyebrows rose as she observed the readings. Your bond strengthens with physical contact, she noted. But it's more than just proximity. There's genuine, emotional resonance here. Jace felt heat rise in his cheeks. Through their connection, he sensed Naya's amusement at his embarrassment, followed by a wave of affection that made his heart race. The interface is facilitating something that already existed, Dr. Halifax continued. You two were meant to find each other. As if to prove her point, Naya reached for Jace's hand. The moment their fingers intertwined, the air around them seemed to shimmer with energy. Through their link, he felt her love for him, pure and overwhelming. Show me, Dr. Halifax said softly. Show me what your bond can do. Jace looked at Naya, seeing his own curiosity reflected in her galaxy-filled eyes. Slowly, carefully, they opened their connection fully. The neural interface responded, creating a field of shared consciousness that encompassed all three of them. Dr. Halifax gasped as she felt the edges of their bond, the perfect harmony of their thoughts, the way their emotions flowed together. like streams joining a river. For a moment, she experienced what it meant to be truly connected to another consciousness. "Beautiful," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Absolutely beautiful." The connection faded, leaving them alone in their shared bond once more. But something had changed. Jace felt it in the way Naya looked at him, in the subtle shift of her thoughts through their link. "I love you," she said, the words carrying more weight than any spoken declaration. "I love you too," Jace replied, both aloud and through their connection. Dr. Halifax smiled, gathering her instruments. "I'll give you some privacy. But first," she paused at the door, "what you have is precious. Don't let anyone convince you it's wrong or unnatural. Love is love, regardless of species or circumstances." Alone in the quarters, Jace and Naya sat in comfortable silence, their bond humming with contentment. The neural interface had brought them together, but their love had grown beyond its artificial constraints. "What happens now?" Jace asked, though. He could feel Naya's thoughts on the subject through their connection. "We make our own path," she replied, moving closer to him. Together, the space around them seemed to fade away as they lost themselves in each other's presence. Through their bond, every touch was magnified, every sensation shared. When Naya's lips met his, Jace felt her love flowing through their connection, like liquid starlight. Their neural link pulsed with the intensity of their emotions, but the kiss was entirely their own, tender, passionate, and filled with the promise of a future they would build together, forever. Naya whispered in his mind as they held each other close. "Forever," Jace agreed, knowing that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as one heart, one mind, one soul. Infinite Frequencythe corporate fleet appeared at the edge of the system like a swarm of mechanical locusts, their ships bristling with weapons and capture technology. News of the neural bonding had spread through the research networks, and suddenly, every corporation, military organization, and scientific institution wanted to study or control what Jace and Naya had become. 37 ships, Dr. Halifax reported from the station's sensor array. "They're not here to negotiate." Jace felt Naya's resolve strengthen through their connection. The frightened girl he'd rescued had grown into something magnificent, a woman who refused to be anyone's experiment or prisoner. "They want to separate us," she observed, her mental voice carrying calm determination rather than fear. "Study us apart to understand our bond." "Never again," Jace said, his protective instincts flaring through their link. "We've come too far to let them tear us apart now." The station's communication array crackled to life. "This is Admiral Voss of the Terran Research Division. Surrender the bonded subjects for scientific study, and no harm will come to Dr. Halifax or her facility." Dr. Halifax snorted. "Scientific study. They mean vivisection and neural mapping until they figure out how to replicate your bond artificially." Through their connection, Jace felt Naya's growing power. A neural interface had evolved beyond its original programming, becoming something that amplified both their abilities and their love for each other. "We don't run this time," Naya decided, her thoughts carrying steel. "We show them what we've become." The first wave of capture ships approached the station, their nets and stasis fields prepared to subdue any resistance. But as they closed in, something extraordinary happened. Jace and Naya joined hands, their neural link blazing with shared purpose. The interface responded, but not with the simple psychic abilities Naya had shown before. Instead, it created something new, a field of pure connection that spread outward from the station like ripples in a pond. The effect was immediate and profound. Across the corporate fleet, humans and aliens alike felt the touch of the bond, a glimpse of what it meant to be truly connected to another consciousness. Fear and aggression faded, replaced by wonder and understanding. "What's happening?" Admiral Voss's voice crackled over the comm, confusion evident in his tone. "We're showing them," Naya replied, her thoughts reaching across space through their amplified connection. "Showing them what love looks like when it transcends species. When it bridges the gap between minds." The neural field expanded, touching every ship in the fleet. Soldiers preparing for battle found themselves experiencing the memories of their targets. Jace's determination to protect the woman he loved. Naya's journey from prisoner to partner, the pure joy of their connection. One by one, the ships began to power down their weapons. "Admiral," came a voice from one of the escort vessels. "We're reading massive neural activity. The subjects. They're not just bonded, they're broadcasting." "Doctor." Halifax watched in amazement as the reading spiked beyond anything her instruments could measure. "They're not just connected to each other anymore," she whispered. "They're connecting everyone." The phenomenon spread beyond the fleet, touching the nearby colonies and research stations. Across the system, humans and aliens felt the echo of the bond, a reminder of what was possible when fear gave way to trust. When different species chose connection over conflict, this is what we were meant to create, Naya realized, her wonder flowing through their link. Not just a bond between us, but a bridge between all of us. JAC. He felt the truth of her words resonate in his soul. Their love had become something greater than themselves, catalyst for the kind of understanding that could change the galaxy. The corporate fleet, touched by the field of connection, began to withdraw. Not in defeat, but in recognition that what they'd come to capture couldn't be contained or replicated artificially. It could only be chosen, freely given between hearts that trusted completely. "This is Admiral Voss." The voice came over the comm again, but now it carried a different tone. "Fleet is standing down. The subjects... they're free to go." As the ships disappeared into hyperspace, Jace and Naya remained connected, their bond, now a permanent bridge between their species. They had become something new, not human, not alien, but something transcendent. "What do we do now?" Naya asked, though she already knew the answer. Jace smiled, pulling her close as doctor. Halifax watched, with tears of joy in her eyes. "We live," he said simply. "We love, and we show the galaxy what's possible when two hearts become one." Their neural link pulsed with shared happiness, a frequency that would echo across the stars for generations to come, a reminder that love, in all its forms, was the most powerful force in the universe. "Forever," Naya whispered in his mind. "Forever," Jace agreed, knowing that their story was just beginning.